7-part series, Trinity, hidden in Deuteronomy chapter 6:4, episode 1, the verse that shakes two worlds, Deuteronomy chapter 6:4. Exposed Deuteronomy chapter 6:4 says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord." This simple verse, known as the Shema, is foundational to Jewish faith. It's often wielded by skeptics and non-believers as a proof text against the Christian doctrine of the Trinity. But what if this very verse, rather than refuting the Trinity, subtly affirms it? What if, hidden within the Hebrew language, the concept of a plural yet unified God is present from the beginning? Let's break it down. First, consider the phrase, "The Lord our God is one Lord." The Hebrew reads, Yahweh Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. At a glance, it appears to affirm strict monotheism, but dig deeper into the grammar and it tells a richer story. The word used for one is Echad. This word does not mean absolute singularity. That's a different Hebrew word, Yachid. Echad is used elsewhere in the Bible to describe compound unity. In Genesis 2:24, the two shall become one, Echad, flesh. In Exodus 26:6, God commands that the tent should become one, Echad, tabernacle. Again, multiple parts forming one structure. Even in Genesis 1:5, evening and morning, themselves two distinct phases, form one, Echad, day. This reveals a crucial point. Echad describes unity of parts. It's the same word Moses used to describe God in Deuteronomy 6:4, so the verse could reasonably be understood as, "The Lord our God, the Lord is a united one." Now compare this with the word Yachid. This word means absolute, indivisible singularity. In Genesis 22:2, God tells Abraham to take his only Yachid son, Isaac. If Moses had wanted to communicate that God is a singular, indivisible being without any plurality, why didn't he use Yachid? That's the logical choice. But he didn't. He used Echad. Even more telling is the word Elohim used for God. Elohim is grammatically plural. It's used more than 2,500 times in the Old Testament to refer to Israel's God. Yet it consistently pairs with singular verbs, reflecting a unified being with plurality embedded in his name. Genesis chapter 1:26 further explodes this mystery. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. This wasn't God talking to angels. Angels don't create. It's divine conversation within the Godhead, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So we ask skeptics this. If Moses was writing against the idea of a triune God, why did he use a plural noun for God, Elohim, a compound unity word, Echad, and a structure that seems to repeat God's name intentionally? Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh. Deuteronomy 6:4 does affirm monotheism, but not the rigid, flat monotheism of modern anti-Trinitarians. It affirms unified plurality. It sets the stage for the New Testament revelation of the Trinity. Jesus would later quote this very verse in Mark 12:29, but then say in John 10:30, "I and the Father are one." The word one here in Greek is hen, one in essence, not one in person. The Trinity isn't a pagan invention or later development, it's God's eternal nature. And Deuteronomy 6:4, far from disproving it, whispers it for those with ears to hear. Challenge to skeptics. Disprove the linguistic use of Echad. Disprove the plural form of Elohim. Disprove the divine conversation in Genesis chapter 1:26. The truth is not hidden. It's engraved in the very fabric of the Hebrew Bible. The Shema doesn't destroy the Trinity. It introduces it.